Welcome back. We're still talking with Roberta Zenker of Disability Rights Montana about the Americans with Disabilities Act and how it protects people experiencing disabilities. So thanks for sticking around with us. So the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, that went into effect in 1990. So
Yes.
What about those buildings that were built before then? How do they get up to the requirements laid out by the ADA?
Well, the ADA had a grandfather clause so that if a building was in existence at the time the ADA went into implementation, then that building did not have to rebuild, the owners didn't have to rebuild it, and that was fine. But if they remodel or retrofit or have any alterations to their building, then the ADA guidelines would apply to that rebuild.
Okay, so if a person has to try to get into a building and has a disability and just can't get in, what options does that person have? What can they do?
Well, there are two things we would encourage them to do. One is to call us, Disability Rights Montana, or visit our website and make a complaint to us so that we can go and survey that building and contact that proprietor or owner and talk to them about their accessibility and try to get them up to code and try to work with them to do that. Or they can make their complaint formally to the Montana Human Rights Bureau.
Okay, so the ADA applies to more than just buildings. So let's talk about some of the other, experiences that people might have being around town that the ADA also helps.
Well, as I said before, the ADA it's created to provide opportunities and to provide for equal access to and inclusion and integration into benefits and services. So we do that in the areas of public accommodations and government services. Public accommodations would be anywhere where business is conducted. A hotel, a restaurant, a movie theater has to be accessible to people who experience disabilities. But there are also other kinds like telecommunications and transportation and things like that. So all of those things have to have accessibility features. Their employment is another huge area covered by the ADA, and you can't discriminate against a person based upon their disability.
Okay, we've talked a little bit about parking. If somebody has a disability, what does that person do so that he or she can park in one of those spots?
Well, in Montana, the Department of Motor Vehicles provides both decals and license plates for people who experience disabilities to use those designated parking spots. And you have to apply for them. The requirements include having a disability that's recognized on a list of disabilities and then having that disability certified by a medical professional. So once you do that, you can mail in, I think it's called a DMV-5 is the form.
Okay.
And you fill out the form and you can mail it in or fax it in or email it. And there's, of course, the registration fee that would be the same as any licensing vehicle fee.
Okay.
And then the decal is free where you hang it in the mirror. And then you should be good to go.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk a little bit about public transportation. Are there certain requirements that public transportation has to meet in order to be accessible to folks?
Both public transportation vehicles like buses and private companies that provide transportation for the public are subject to the ADA. So they have to have sort of information signing requirements. They have to have seats that are accessible. They have to have ramps or lifts or things that are assistive technology, and they have to allow for service animals on buses, for instance. Operators have to provide time for people, additional time if it's necessary for them to board. Operators have to be trained. So those are the kind of requirements.
Okay, perfect. What about polling places? Every American has a right to vote, but if a person has difficulty trying to get to a polling place, what are their options?
polling is very important, and there's a separate law dedicated just to voting access for the elderly and people who experience disabilities. But again, the key word for polling places is access. Can the person who experiences a disability get to the parking lot and park in an accessible space, get from their vehicle to the building in an accessible walkway, and get into the building? Are there stairs that are prohibitive? Is there a ramp? Is there an elevator? Those kinds of things would be required. Once they get into the building, is there a clear path to the booth, the voting booth, and those kinds of things? So all of those would be required by the ADA.
Okay, let's switch gears just a little bit and talk about seniors with disabilities. They can sometimes face different barriers that maybe younger folks would. Can you talk a little bit about that and what issues you see with seniors who experience disabilities?
It's very common, actually, for seniors to experience disabilities. And what we see often are the kinds of issues that would then arise in housing, like needing reasonable accommodations in long-term care facilities, and any kind of medical issues or those kinds of things. So we often work with seniors in those reasonable accommodations areas.
Okay, perfect. We're just about out of time. Any parting thoughts you would want folks at home to know about when it comes to disabilities, advocacy, rights? Just what would you like to close on today?
The main thing, I guess, is being aware that people who experience disabilities are people first, and they are entitled to opportunities, benefits, services, and the key to that is to provide accessibility. So accessibility and awareness are key.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all your expertise. And I want to thank Cassandra for joining us today and sharing her personal experience. We appreciate your time and thank you for tuning in this week. We hope you enjoyed our show and that you'll come back again next week. Until then, stay fit, stay well, and stay healthy for life with Healthy Living for Life. Have a great week.
Healthy Living for Life is brought to you by Mountain Pacific Quality Health. We'd love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future programs, visit our website at mpqhf.org or call us at 406-443-4020. You can also catch us on YouTube by visiting our website and clicking on the YouTube icon. Special thanks to Fire Tower Coffee House and Roasters. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions.